paper, the things on paper seems like this should be a good fit, but she could not communicate well, could not. And these are some things that just practicing, like they say, preparation, opportunity favors the prepared. Make it an habit, especially if you are somebody that is shy. Talk to a friend. Say, okay, I want to simulate a typical interview process. Have a mentor, go through the process, get feedbacks. Before you know it, you would have overcome that fright, that stage fright, or the limitations. I remember there was a time I was learning. If somebody asked me, tell me about yourself, I'd practiced so much that there was a time that my wife was joking with me that Tolu, that if somebody asks you, tell me about yourself, it's like you have a standardized answer. I told her, I said, see, funny enough, it's not as if I crammed it, that because of the fact that well, even though it's not for interview, but because I've done so many presentations, and the first 1 or 2 minutes I have to introduce myself, I have done lots of introduction that it's now like a second nature. So practicing can make your interview process successful. If you don't practice, then you have a big opportunity, then you bungle. The other thing is that when an interviewer asks questions, you should proactively ask, what is the skill set that this interviewer is trying to assess, and how can I demonstrate this skill set in my answers? And I'll give an example. If I ask you that, tell me a time when you had a lot of things to do, but limited time to do it, how were you able to go about it, and what was the outcome? If you think proactively, what is this interviewer trying to assess? What I'm trying to assess really is your time management skill set. So proactively, as you're trying to answer that question, you must be able to bring out those value add in your response. And you see some people, they would answer that, and so they would say, oh, okay, there was a time I had 5 things to do. It was a lot, but to the glory of God, God assisted me, and I was able to do it, and it was successful. As an interviewer, I I would struggle to score you any point there, because okay, if I say, okay, so how did God help you? You say, well, God is faithful. God has a way of helping His own. I will just say, okay, maybe I will just say not too much information to observe the skill set. But if you practically think, okay, this guy is trying to say, how do I manage my time? So you could say, okay, I had 5 things to do, which I couldn't do realistically in the time allocated. So what I did was to speak to my boss to try to prioritize which one is urgent but important. Okay, so I said, oh, good. This guy understands how to prioritize. So I'll say ability to prioritize. Then, having agreed the other priority with my boss, I created a to-do list. Oh, okay. This guy knows how to create a to-do list. So after creating the to-do list, as I was going through the exercise, I was escalating to my boss, and where I have some challenges that were taking more than enough time for me to be able to execute, I I sought the advice of more experienced individual. Oh, okay. So you could see that I'm telling a story, but the way I'm telling the story, I'm bringing out those things that an employer can really mark and say, okay, this guy truly can manage his time. So that is my example of the ability to demonstrate those skill sets. So it doesn't matter if I'm good at managing my time in real life. If I cannot demonstrate that at the point of interview, then I'm not going to be successful. So um, the other thing that I would stress on this slide before I go to the next 2 slides and I just create some time for questions is I would also screen about so talk about screening depending on the job, especially for top multinationals. You would naturally go through background checks and security screening. In fact, there are some jobs that the screening is global. My job, my screening had to be global. You need to be careful of the digital footprint. Some people are so careless. In their day-to-day life, they'll just go and put something on the website. So let's say there was a story about a lady that was raped, and out of your carelessness as a guy, just go and say, "Oh, leave and you're putting that either on Facebook, on Twitter. Leave all ladies are idiots. How can the lady be saying that she was raped? Didn't she enjoy it?" And a topic as serious as rape is being discussed, and you're typing some, for lack of a better word, silly things. You had forgotten that you typed that 2 years ago, and it's not time for background check and security screening. Those things could come back to haunt you. So, like I tell people, there are some sensitive topics when it comes to maybe politics, or say, oh, this president is an idiot. In fact, how I wish Boko Haram could go and cut his head. And you type that on social media, and you forget. 3 years down the line, somebody will say, it's like this guy has some terrorism tendencies. So the other thing is that you must be careful of your digital footprint. You could that could be what would just disqualify you. So you could have proactively anticipated trends, you've acquired those skill sets, your CV is tight, your interview, you were able to, the way we say it in Nigeria, oh, I banked that interview. All of a sudden, one careless tweet, Facebook or whatever, or Instagram or whatever platform, 7 or 3 years down the line. And again, because you're not the only qualified person, employers want to be careful. They don't want to, because when you join an organization, you are also going to be exposed to information that relates to that organization. So people don't want to hire an insider that is a terrorist or an insider that is a fraudster. You hear a story of a fraudster, you know, say, I beg, all of us now 419 now, who them caught? All of us now thief, now who they caught the thief? They say, as so an employer will see that and say, oh boy, if I employ this guy, any chance that this guy has, all our money is gone. No, 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 no. So let's be careful of that. And my last slide is that if the desired opportunities are not coming on time, what are the things that you can do? Start with something small. Like I say, it is a no-no for you to be idle. Like they say, small opportunities are often the beginning of great enterprise. So if you are still looking for that great opportunity, whatever your hand finds to do it well. It may not relate to your job at all. You see, it's when you see people and they have gaps in their CV and you ask them, what have you been doing? And they just say nothing. And they say that they've been idle. Sometimes it tells you about the individual. But you're looking for a job, for a job rather, it's not coming, or the job that you would like is not coming. If it is that you can work in a primary school, secondary school, or you can work with, so just find something to do. Sometimes those small opportunities are what leads to bigger opportunities. Some of the people, in the bid of being um, active, you could meet somebody that would assist you to connect to the next level. And I'll give an example. There was a guy that I met in my former place. The guy was a driver. So I was so the guy was taking me to a place where we just discussing. And the guy and I said, by the way, I'm a graduate too. Yeah? And this, blah, 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 blah. So we got talking. said, really? So do this, do that, do that, do that. If the guy was doing big boy, oh, I can't start something. You don't know if in the process of you starting, as in the guy started as a driver, would drive the chief financial officer of the company, and in the process of them talking, the guy will get to know. So again, you meet people. I have another story when where I served in Delta State. This guy was working as a cleaner. So the guy now met the regional manager. The regional manager now got to know that the guy went to school. Say, you went to school, you're a cleaner. Blah. Long story short, the guy got a job through that process. So even while you wait for the big job, while you're trying to get the required skill set, don't despise the days of little beginning. The second point I would stress is network, network, network. Meet people. People hire people. People recommend people. The good thing is, even where I work, how did I get to go to know about it? A friend told me about it. Meet people, talk to people. Don't just sit in your corner. Be a likable person. And the last point I will talk about is mentorship. Find a mentor, somebody who is successful. Even as an individual, I do have mentors, people who have gone beyond where I am. And I also have people that I'm mentoring. So that also increases the odds in your favor. I guess I've spoken too much. I would hand over to Mr. Toba to see if there are questions and also do what is next. Thank you very much for your time.
Wow, 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 wow. What a big session. Thank you so much, sir. I've learned so much this evening. I learned so much this evening. The first is where you mentioned that people getting opportunity, people moving to the next level. It's not just about how good they are. It's about how intentional. That point is so profound to me because in this part of the world, we believe it's all about how good you are. It's all about how knowledgeable you are. But today, I got a point from you that it's all about being uh, intentional, and that's so profound. And I believe everybody has gotten that point as well. You also talk about being able to demonstrate. So that means the analogy you used as well was quite on point. Thank you so much. For some time, I've known Mr. Tolulope Adebayo for a long time, and I remember the first time we had a session. So I went to him and he shared something with me. So you may be hearing this for the first time, but since 2018 that you maximize like resources, zero inventory and all, I still have this knowledge with me, and this is the same way it is this evening. Things I have learned. So I believe there will be questions in the house. So let me just check if questions have been raised. Oh, okay, okay. Ibikule Akingbade is saying thank you for an insightful session. Thank you for an insightful session. So I want to ask, if you have question, kindly leave the question in the chat session, please, so that we, Mr. Tolu can actually do justice to the different questions that are going to be asked. All right. And again, Mr. Tolu talked about being able to simulate and, okay, when it comes to interview, for example, a lot of people, they've done their best to put the CV together, to put the right words together, and they are being called for interview. So, but we notice that most time where the whole thing end for them is at the point of interview, because their verbal confidence. So Mr. Tolu also mentioned that their verbal confidence is not just at the top level. So, but Mr. Tolu talked to us about how this can be addressed, and that's having simulation, being able to simulate, get somebody, get a friend of yours, practice and practice and practice, and by so doing, before you know it, the confidence will come, and you will be able to impress when it comes to interview sessions. So I'm still awaiting our questions. If we have questions, I'm still awaiting if we have any questions. Uh, so, so far, there is no question. I don't know if people are trying to, put their thoughts together so that they ask questions. So far, there are no questions.
Yeah, thank you. And it doesn't have to be now, but um, even after the presentation, if people still have questions, they can send it to you. We can reply and send it back to the email. So for me, I think that can be another useful suggestion.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, sir. Just about now, we have a question that just dropped, and the questions are coming in right now. So I believe you are ready for them. It says, my question is, Esiogene Eboje says, my question is, how can one prepare for opportunities in a foreign nation? For instance, I'm undergoing a master's program in Poland. So how can one prepare for opportunities in foreign nation?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. For me, what I would say is that you preparing for opportunity in Nigeria is not different from preparing for opportunity in anywhere. Um, the interview process in Nigeria is not different from the interview process I went through in Canada. By the way, I had so many interviews with different companies. The only difference, to, for me to be practical, is that two things. The requirements are a bit different, and therefore, again, I said about understanding what is value. Some of the things that would be more valuable in Nigeria may not be so valuable overseas. So maybe you want to discuss with an organization, and in your interview, you want to be talking about Excel, but in this organization, they've moved past Excel. In that same interview, if you're saying that story in Nigeria, you'll be hired. If you say that same story in some jurisdiction, you won't be hired. So the first thing I say is you must understand value. So if you understand what is value, what are these guys looking out for, you can prepare and do well. The second thing that you should understand is accent. Now, when I mean accent, is that, um, and it's not our fault. Some of us, based on the way we were raised, we don't we don't pronounce some words well. So what I've learned, especially here, is that you can overcome accent issues if you speak slowly. So even though you're not pronouncing some words well, if you speak slowly, they would be able to, because the brain is powerful, right? They would be able to understand what you're saying and give you that job. And I'll give you a practical example. A guy did interview in the US. I happen to have a friend that is close to the recruiter. The reason why the guy was not hired was that they said they didn't understand what the guy was saying, that they struggled to understand. But the guy being a Nigerian, the guy understood. There's the way we speak as Niger. The guy understood, but they said that they didn't understand and that the guy will not be able to communicate. So, but when people hear the word accent, some people think speak like Unibo or speak like a white person. No, that's not correct. At least thank God I'm working, and I don't form accent. I speak as a Nigerian. What And I've met Indians, people from China, and people that all that are not white too.